Most men I meet in their 60s or 70s tend to shrug off the small changes that start happening to their bodies. They'll say, doc, it's just age. Things don't work like they used to. But what if I told you those little things might be your body's way of waving a red flag? A quiet warning that your manhood, your health, and even your independence could be at risk if you keep ignoring them. Hello, friends. This is Dr. Nolan Easton. I've spent over 30 years helping men navigate the challenges of aging, everything from blood flow and hormone changes to energy and intimacy. And I'll tell you this right now, what happens down there often tells me more about a man's overall health than any blood test. Let me tell you about George. He's 67, retired from construction, proud grandfather of 4. When he first came to see me, he said, "Doc, I'm just not the man I used to be. My energy's gone, I feel sluggish, and my drive, well, let's just say the engine doesn't always start." He laughed, trying to brush it off, but I could see the worry in his eyes. Now, George thought this was just part of getting older, but as we talked more, I noticed something. His symptoms weren't only about performance. They were signs of poor circulation, early metabolic slowdown, and declining testosterone. And here's the truth that surprises many men. What affects your manhood often begins in your blood vessels, not your bedroom. After 60, blood flow can weaken because those tiny vessels that supply your most sensitive areas start to lose flexibility. The same process that affects your heart and brain affects your manhood too. So when you start noticing less firmness, slower arousal, or reduced sensitivity, it's not just an inconvenience, it's a message from your body. It's saying, pay attention. And I'll tell you this gently but firmly. Ignoring that message is dangerous because poor blood flow below the belt is often one of the earliest signs of heart disease. Yes, gentlemen, your body often whispers before it shouts. Now, before you worry too much, here's the good news. This can often be reversed or improved naturally when you catch it early. That's exactly what I helped George do. We started small, changes in diet, light walking to strengthen circulation, some supplements for vascular health. Within a few weeks, he started feeling more energy. His confidence returned. His wife told him, "You're glowing again." That's the part I love most about my work, watching men rediscover themselves. And I want you to know, it's never too late. Whether you're 60, 70, or even 80, you can take steps today to protect your vitality, your circulation, and yes, your manhood. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, "Dr. Easton, that sounds like me," I want to hear from you. Type yes in the comments if you've noticed these small changes creeping up, maybe in energy, drive, or mood. I read those comments personally because that's how I know what you're struggling with and what topics to focus on next. And while you're here, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps other men over 60 find this message. And make sure you're subscribed with the bell on so you never miss advice that could protect your health and confidence. Now, back to George. As his circulation improved, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize how much of myself I'd lost until I started getting it back." He wasn't talking just about intimacy. He meant his energy, his zest for life, that quiet strength that makes a man feel like himself again. That's what I want for you. Because the danger after 60 isn't just what's happening to your body, it's how easily men dismiss it. You've worked hard all your life, maybe taking care of others more than yourself, but your health deserves attention too, especially the parts of it that no one talks about. When George came back for his second visit, something about his energy had shifted. He walked into my office taller, his voice had more life to it, and he had this quiet confidence I hadn't seen before. "Doc," he said, "I didn't realize how much disconnected I'd become. My body has been talking to me for years. I just wasn't listening." That right there, friends, is something I wish more men over 60 understood. The body always speaks. It's just that the older we get, the easier it becomes to tune it out. We mistake fatigue for age, poor sleep for just stress, low drive for just how it is. But none of those things are inevitable. Now, I know how men think. I've worked with thousands over the decades. We're problem solvers. We fix cars, mend fences, build things with our hands. But when it comes to our health, especially down there, we often go quiet. Maybe it's pride or embarrassment or just that silent belief that we have to tough it out. But gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, ignoring it doesn't make it go away. Let's talk about what's really going on after 60. Testosterone, the hormone that gives you energy, drive, muscle tone, and that spark of confidence, starts to decline slowly, sometimes as much as 1 to 2% each year. Combine that with reduced blood flow and less activity, and you've got a recipe for gradual decline that creeps in so quietly you don't notice until one day you wake up and realize something has changed. That's what happened to George. He said it started with a few bad nights of sleep, then came lower motivation, some stubborn belly fat, and a lack of interest in intimacy. It's like my body went into retirement before I did, he joked, but underneath it worried him. So I ordered a few simple tests, not to label him, but to understand what was really happening. Sure enough, his testosterone was low, his circulation wasn't great, and his stress levels were higher than he realized. Now, I didn't rush him into medications or big treatments. We started gently. Nutrition, targeted vitamins, short morning walks, and stress management. And guess what? Within weeks, his mood lifted, his energy returned, and his confidence started rebuilding from the inside out. See, when we restore circulation and balance hormones naturally, everything else starts working better too. Sleep improves, mood stabilizes, even digestion and memory sharpen up. And that's why I always tell my patients, protecting your manhood isn't just about your private life, it's about protecting your whole life. You see, after 60, your blood vessels become less flexible. The inner lining, the endothelium, doesn't respond as easily to signals that tell it to relax and open up. That means less blood flow where you need it most. And because those vessels are small, they're often the first to show damage before your heart ever does. So those early changes, less firmness, less sensation, can actually be a wake-up call. Now, I don't want you to panic. I want you to be aware, because awareness is power. When you catch these signs early, you can reverse the course. Your body is remarkably resilient, even in your 70s or 80s, if you give it what it needs: movement, nutrients, oxygen, and care. If you're finding this helpful so far, take a quick moment. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon. It helps more men over 60 find this kind of honest, practical advice. And tell me in the comments, yes or no, have you noticed any changes in your energy, circulation, or performance over the years? I read every comment personally, because that's how I know what you're struggling with and what topics to focus on next. Now, one of the most common things men tell me is, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore." That sentence breaks my heart every time because it tells me they've accepted a lower version of life than they deserve. You don't have to. You can feel steady, alert, and alive again. You just need to start paying attention to the signals. George learned that lesson the hard way. But when he started taking ownership, walking daily, hydrating properly, cutting down on alcohol, and focusing on sleep, his transformation was dramatic. His blood pressure stabilized, his confidence grew, and his wife later told me, "It's like I've got my husband back." That's when I knew he wasn't just healing his body, he was rebuilding his connection to life. A few weeks after George began making those changes, he came to see me again, this time with a big grin on his face. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what you did, but I feel like myself again." And that, my friends, is one of the most rewarding things I get to hear. But let me tell you something, it wasn't magic. It was awareness, consistency, and care. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, "Dr. Easton, I've tried a few things, but nothing seems to work," I hear you. Many of the men I see have felt the same way before things turned around. Because here's the truth. It's not about trying one big fix. It's about addressing the root causes of why your manhood starts to struggle after 60. And it usually comes down to 3 interconnected things: blood flow, hormones, and stress. Let's start with stress because it's the silent saboteur that most men underestimate. See, when you live under chronic stress, worrying about finances, family, health, it increases a hormone called cortisol. That hormone is useful in short bursts, but when it stays high for too long, it interferes with testosterone production. it can also constrict blood vessels, making circulation even harder. So the more stressed you are, the harder it is for your body to send blood where it needs to go. That's why I teach my patients to treat relaxation as medicine. George started doing something so simple. He'd take 15 minutes each morning to sit outside with his coffee, breathe deeply, and just be still. No phone, no TV, just quiet. He said that small habit cleared his head more than anything else. The second piece is movement. I'm not talking about running marathons, just gentle, regular movement. Walking, light stretching, even gardening. Movement gets blood flowing, strengthens the heart, and keeps your vessels flexible. Think of it like oiling an old engine. The more regularly you do it, the smoother everything runs. George used to say, "Doc, you're turning me into one of those old guys walking the neighborhood with dumbbells." I laughed and said, "If that's what keeps you alive and strong, then wear it proudly." And you know what? He did. Now, here's something many men don't realize. Some of the foods they eat every day can be quietly damaging their blood flow. Processed meats, too much sugar, fried foods, these can cause inflammation that stiffens the arteries. But foods like leafy greens, beets, berries, olive oil, and a handful of nuts each day can do the opposite. They open up those vessels, keeping them young. When I explained that to George, he started making small swaps. He replaced his usual bacon and toast breakfast with oatmeal, berries, and a boiled egg. "Didn't think it would matter," he told me, "but my energy's through the roof by noon." It's all connected. The way you eat, move, and manage stress directly affects your manhood because it shapes how your body delivers blood and oxygen. When circulation improves, not only do you feel more alive physically, you start feeling more emotionally balanced too. Now, let's talk briefly about testosterone again because it deserves your attention. Many men over 60 think it's gone for good, but that's not true. The body can often stimulate more natural testosterone production through simple habits: good sleep, resistance training, and the right nutrients. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, those are key players. When George started sleeping better, his natural testosterone levels rose by almost 20% in just a few months. He wasn't taking fancy shots or pills. He was giving his body the chance to recover and rebalance. And that's the point. Your body is not broken. It's just waiting for you to give it a chance to heal. If this message resonates with you, if something in this story feels familiar, do me a favor and type yes in the comments below. I personally read them and respond to as many as I can. It helps me know what topics matter most to you. And while you're at it, please hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon on. It tells YouTube this message matters, and it helps more men like you rediscover hope and vitality. A few months after George started his new routine, he came into my office one afternoon carrying a box of donuts. "Doc," he said, "don't worry, these aren't for me, they're for your staff. I'm off the sugar now." Then he looked me straight in the eye and said something I'll never forget. "You saved my marriage." Now, I hadn't given him any magic pill or procedure. What I gave him was awareness, a reason to care again. And when a man starts caring about his health, everything else in his life begins to realign. His confidence, his energy, his connection to the people he loves. That's what I want for you. Because this conversation, gentlemen, isn't really about aging. It's about living fully as you age. It's about not accepting decline as destiny. Your body may slow down, yes, but it's designed to adapt, repair, and thrive if you give it the right attention. George's story had a beautiful ending. His energy came back, his blood flow improved, and his intimacy with his wife returned naturally. But beyond that, he rediscovered his purpose. He started volunteering at a local community center, helping other retired men learn about healthy living. "Doc," he said, "one day, I never thought I'd feel this good again." That's the message I wish every man over 60 could hear. You can feel good again. You can wake up with energy, with focus, and with that quiet sense of pride in your step. You can protect your manhood by protecting your health, because the two are inseparable. Now let me tell you something. From over 30 years of working with men, the ones who age the best
aren't the ones who have perfect diets or gym memberships. They're the ones who listen to their bodies. They notice when something feels off. They take action when they sense change. They treat their health like an investment, not an expense. And if you're sitting there thinking, Dr. Easton, I've ignored this too long, I want you to know it's never too late. Never. Your body responds at any age. The moment you decide to start moving, eating better, hydrating, resting, and paying attention, your circulation begins to improve. Your hormones stabilize. Your mind clears. And yes, your manhood responds too. But it all starts with that one small decision to stop ignoring yourself. When I talk to men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, they often tell me, I just want to feel like me again. And I always say, you can, but you have to fight for it. Not in a hard way, but in a caring way. The way you'd protect something valuable. Because that's what your health is. It's your most valuable possession. Now, before we close, I want to speak directly from the heart. If this message has spoken to you, if you've recognized a piece of yourself in George's story, take a second, click that like button. It helps this message reach more men who might be silently struggling. And type yes in the comments if you're ready to start taking your health and your manhood seriously again. I read every comment, and your feedback shapes every video I make. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and tap that bell icon. Every week I share new insights for men over 60 about energy, performance, and staying strong inside and out. Think of this channel as your trusted place for honest, encouraging conversations about the parts of life most people avoid talking about. Because here's the truth, your manhood isn't just physical. It's emotional, spiritual, and deeply personal. It's about feeling capable, purposeful, and connected. When that energy fades, life loses its spark. But when it returns, everything around you begins to brighten. I've seen it hundreds of times. Men who thought their best years were behind them find out they were wrong. All it took was awareness, action, and care. And maybe a little bit of belief. So, if you take just one thing from today's talk, let it be this. Don't ignore your body's messages. They're not signs of weakness. They're invitations to heal, to strengthen, to live.